13-year-old Aboriginal boy killed in 1983. John Pat's death sparked a movement. First Nations activists and leaders rose up and said, enough.
Jail sentence to Aboriginal people today would possibly mean a death sentence.
They brought together evidence of 100 Aboriginal deaths in custody and demanded a royal commission, an investigation into why this was happening and what needed to change to make it stop. Today marks 30 years since the Royal Commission gave us those answers. 30 years since our families were promised change. Today, Aboriginal people are still the most incarcerated people on earth. We're still dying at the hands of a brutal, violent, racist criminal justice system. 474 of us in the 30 years since the Royal Commission reported what they'd found.
They are to correct and protect our people. We come out in body bags.
Every one of those near 500 deaths sends shockwaves through our communities. It ignites a collective anger, a rage, and a grief that has sustained this campaign to protect our people for more than 30 years.
174 plus Indigenous people since 1991. You sick of hearing about racism? I'm sick of fucking talking about it.
30 years is a long fight for justice, but when your families are being torn apart, you don't give up. In the last 8 weeks, 5 more Aboriginal people have died in police custody. 5 more families, like my family, have been broken. So today, like every day, for more than 3 decades, we're demanding change.
A white man's goddamn law.
We're calling for the violence to end. We're calling for the racism to end. This is a system we know how to fix. It's a system that our leaders choose not to. Enough of that. No more committees, no more inquiries, and no more commissions. It's time for action.
Are you angry? Because I fucking am.
We say, it stops now.
Now, you can clearly see.
This. Mr. Nick Withers.
We've been awaiting the arrival of the famous American singer.
Where are they taking him?
They're not taking it.
City Council for £6 million development of a temporary cold body storage facility intended to be the
once meant bearing skin. Now, for artists like Billie Eilish and Demi Lovato, it's all about emotional stripping. In Billie Eilish's 2019 video for Bury a Friend, the then 17-year-old singer blurs the lines between being in a nightmare and being committed to a psychiatric hospital. I want to end me, she repeats 6 times before the song ends. But somehow, that's not what stuck with audiences, media outlets, or industry decision-makers, who, until her British Vogue cover broke on May 2nd, were more likely to talk about how groundbreaking she was for wearing baggy clothes than her repeated mentions of suicidal thoughts. It's a familiar and want to die before dying by suicide at 27. Audiences devour trauma narratives. Perhaps they provide a source of comfort by validating viewers' own experiences, making them feel less alone or reminding them that they're comparatively lucky. On the flip side, the titillating content can offer fans a sort of voyeuristic pleasure from the safety of their living rooms. In any case, the implicit agreement appears to be that artists may express their pain as long as audiences can imagine that it's not really a problem they need to be concerned with, but is just something being amplified for artistic effect. While these revelations can boost an artist's popularity, they can also overshadow all other aspects of the artist's life and work, and can end up veering into another form of exploitation. After the clothes come off, what's next? As someone who has studied female pop stars for nearly 2 decades, I've written about how, since the advent of MTV in the 1980s, the music industry has fashioned women pop stars to resonate more as sexy entertainers than as talented musicians. They are more likely to be framed as gorgeous, frivolous, or hot messes than vocally or musically adept. In my book Gender, Branding, and the Modern Music Industry, The Social Construction of Female Popular Music Stars, I argue that positioning and managing female artists this way has had a negative effect on their creative expression, mental health, and career longevity. Because top stars have been shedding their clothes for decades, skin-deep revelations have become so common they no longer stand out. So, in a crisis for connection, stars reversed the order of operations, keeping their clothes on while sharing their secrets. Stars began to expose their insides, more specifically, their inner turmoil, in bids for deeper relationships with their fans. This broke the social contract of stardom. For decades, public relations efforts presented women stars as perfect, an impossible illusion for anyone to maintain. Until stars such as Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston experienced public breakdowns, their struggles had largely been hidden to protect their impeccable brands. Social media further changed the dynamic. Audiences demanded greater authenticity rather than PR spin. And that's exactly what they've been getting for the past several years, as pop star brands have begun to embody and reflect current cultural concerns about misogyny, racism, sexual violence, and mental health. #MeToo paves the way for emotional stripping. Artists' openness about their experiences with sexual violence, trauma, and addiction represents an important shift toward thinking about them as people more than products. However, today, many artists are making their personal vulnerabilities, not their music, their performances, or their bodies, the centerpiece of their brands. Prior to the popularization of #MeToo in 2017, pop stars had been offering their stories for years to varying levels of reception. In 2013, Madonna shared that she had been raped at knife point shortly after moving to New York City. In 2014,
Lovato. It's all about emotional stripping. In Billie Eilish's 2019 video for Bury a Friend, the then 17-year-old singer blurs the lines between being in a nightmare and being committed to a psychiatric hospital. I want to end me, she repeats 6 times before the song ends. But somehow, that's not what stuck with audiences, media outlets, or industry decision makers, who,
For more information about mast cell tumors, one of the most common malignant skin cancers that we see in dogs, I'll put links below. I have a couple of videos about mast cell tumors. They're a tumor that typically the treatment of choice is to remove them. And this is another treatment option for dogs with mast cell tumors. I got to treat 4 dogs with this new anti-cancer agent called Tignola/Tiglate. So again, this is in place of surgery. And what's really interesting about Tignola/Tiglate is the reaction that it causes in the dogs. And what do I mean by reaction? Within the first couple of days of treatment, it causes lysis or rupture of the cancer cells, and an inflammatory effect and immune response. And actually, it causes tumor necrosis in there. And we're going to show you some of the patients. And I drove to many veterinary hospitals and treated different patients. We also followed these patients daily, and sometimes we went to their homes, whatever was convenient for the owner. Sometimes we actually met them in parking lots and things like that.
Sally, my first case ever treated is getting her day 1 check in shopping mall. Parking lot. Where are you home, Papa?
Sally, an adorable Jack Russell. She actually had some other mast cell tumors that had been previously treated with Tignola/Tiglate. And then when she got a new mast cell tumor, her owners wanted it to be treated that way.
I love it. How's it going, Graham?
Awesome.
Awesome. All right.
Model question.
She's perfect. There's your lesion. Looking good.
When I first started to see what Tignola/Tiglate does, it's really different. What's interesting is that this hole, this defect, will heal up on its own, usually within 28 days to about a month and a half, so about 45 days. And most dogs don't need antibiotics, and they don't need bandage wraps, and it can stay open. So it's a really amazing new product out there. What is exciting about it is that it should be available, hopefully, as another option for dogs with mast cell tumors in early 2020. At the time I'm doing this video, it is still under FDA approved in the United States and in Europe. Tignola tigale comes from the inside of the nut of the bushwood fruit, which is only found in the Australian rainforest. So I got to see where it is grown, and they have plantations that they're now growing the fruit on. So I got to see all that. The second dog that you'll meet in this first part of this two-part series is Evie, and she's a guiding-eyes dog, and she's a yellow Labrador. You guys know how I feel about Labradors if you follow me on Instagram. And she had a mast cell tumor on her leg, and I treated her, and we actually go to her.
Sometimes it's delayed to day 4 or 5, but that's pretty unusual. Usually it'll start opening. Sometimes by the end of the day, they'll actually start having a little bit of a serious ooze from it. As you can see, the change happens quite dramatically. Considering we only treated her 16 hours ago.
Yeah, right. It wasn't even 24 hours.
But she's got no signs of lameness, you can that there's that swelling there. She's quite comfortable.
And then I have some follow-up pictures after I 28 when everything was healed up. So I'm not really going to go into the side effects. So it's really well tolerated, but there's going to be side effects. You know, we'll talk more in upcoming videos about complete response rates and what the response rates, you know, they've looked at dogs at day 28, they've looked at a set of dogs a year out and things like that. There's more information definitely coming. There's been presentations, there's papers and coming in journal articles, but I just wanted to tell you more about it. So
hang on a minute, people. So that's all. Someone reacting to. That's annoying.
The bands and the hot tubs and bouncy castles.
That's a protest.
Oh, dude, I was there today.
We're protesters? Rad. What are we protesting? It's a trucker protest?
Oh, no.